Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Millionaire Mindset Mondays. I'm Jan Carmanico Reeves, your host. And as you know, I'm on a mission to make real estate investing fun, easy, and profitable. Lately we've been talking about partnerships, and I'm very pleased and thankful to have Ethan and Emma join us tonight. Um, and Emma, you're on mute, so I know you don't want to talk much, but you have to take
Okay.
unmute yourself. So thank you for joining. Ethan and Emma are both real estate investors, and they're also um, I'm sorry,
Garden Suite Expert.
garden suite experts. Sorry, I was mixing up ADUs and because not everybody knows what an ADU is, but yes, they
Mhm.
are garden suite experts. Welcome. Thank you for being here tonight and sharing your story with our listeners. If you can each take a minute and introduce yourselves, maybe tell us your background, how you got into real estate investing, and ultimately how you got into being garden suite experts.
Thank you, Jane. Yeah, thank you for having us on your podcast. This is really an honor for us to share, more about us and also what we are working on and what kind of strategy that we're implementing in terms of our real estate journey. So my name is Ethan Xu, and well, Jane, you already know me for a very
Yes,
long
I
time.
know you, yeah, for quite a while, Ethan. Yeah.
Yeah, my background actually is in banking. Previously, I was a commercial lender in one of the big five. And also, I had the experience delivery the enterprise scale project for one another big five, but in terms of the data analytics. But my prior experience helped me to, really being very disciplined in terms of what I'm doing in terms of the real estate. How long have I been investing in real estate? I think the answer for me is I don't remember, maybe forever. Don't guess my age. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, I think that, for my own real estate experience, I had my the real estate investing experience in Taiwan as well. My background is Taiwanese. And also here in Canada, I have some investment properties uh, around across GTA and also in Windsor. Like Jane, you're from Windsor, right? Like I
Yeah.
always call you and say, "Hey, Jane, help me with this."
Yeah.
Yeah, and in addition to, typical real estate investing, um, in Canada, I also am working on this multifamily deal in Cleveland, Ohio. And in Canada, I mainly focus on, promoting what we so-called ADU, or, easier term is actually just garden suite, laneway suite. On top of that idea, we can also leverage the same technology to build multifamily, which is a lot cheaper and a lot faster. I guess that we'll get into that, with that deeper later on. So I'll allow Emma to talk.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Jen, for having us. My name is Emma. I'm Ethan's business partner, and thank you for having us here. This is a very interesting question when I ask myself how long have been in real estate. I remember when I was still young, like 6 or 7 years old, my parents would take me to the construction sites. So I think I was inspired by my parents. They do real estate investing when I was very young. So then later on, when I become an adult, I feel like entering into a real estate market is so natural to me. And in the past, I was doing consulting. I was doing consulting for strategies. I was in the banking for analytics, risk management. And it's good for a full-time job. But always there's, a sounds, going somewhere is when people were talking about how they can retire early. I feel like, being in that full-time job probably not able to get me fired. Financial independence, retire early, right? So that's why I was thinking, okay, maybe I should do some real estate investment. And then I started to do some research because I have data analytics background. I see, okay, what would be the best return for me, how to maximize the ROI, but in the meantime, offering some affordable housing to the renters, right? It's a win-win situation. So that's how I started to interest in real estate. So my portfolio were, span across GTA and also in, Hamilton, in Oakview, in Windsor. I started with very simple buy and hold. Then I started to ask myself, how can I do better? How can I, enhance the bottom line, right? Then we started to, reading the books, go to seminars, join different sessions to learn different stories. And then we started to know, okay, real estate not just buy and hold. You can do forced appreciation. You can do creative financing. You can like do a lot of creative, alternative investment, right? And later on, I started to, doing rental, doing some flipping, and then starting to do like, rent to own, especially I think it's good market to do it now. And the reason why we started to do the ADU is, it's very hard to find cash flow positive real estate now, right?
Hmm.
Then one day we started to read a sentence, a slogan saying, why it's hard to find a positive cash flow is because it's not finding, you need to create cash flow for the property, right?
Mhm.
We always talk about 1% rules, but it's very almost impossible to find 1% rules in GTA. However, if you're
In
building,
most places, let alone in GTI.
yeah,
Yeah.
but to be honest, with my analytics, the mindset in my head, if you're building our ADU or building our garden suite, it's very easily you can achieve the 1%. I have my own place has built-in garden suites, and okay, I think maybe we should scale up this because more people may need it. Like the multi-generation livings, right? People more spaces and people wanted to have more cash flow. That's why we have more discussion on this. The more we discuss, the more opportunity we find for both us and also the other investors.
Very good. Very good. So, maybe one of you can explain to the listeners because not everybody knows what a garden suite or an ADU is. And ADUs can have different meanings, right? Like typically a garden suite is a separate unit on
Mhm.
the lot, whereas an ADU could be that, or it could be making an additional unit within that original
The
complex.
basement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, Jen, I can answer that question.
Mhm.
So ADU, what is ADU? Like the word ADU doesn't connect with most of people, right? It's actually accessory dwelling unit. But again, those three words doesn't connect with people. So it's
Mhm.
easier to just understand that it can be garden suite, right? Or if there's a laneway behind, your borderline, right behind your lot, then it can be a language suite, right?
Right,
Or like Jane, you just said, talk about this, it can be in your main building, but if you finish the basement, right, and adding another, side entrance, that's also considered ADU.
right,
But mainly, I think that nowadays people talk more about the garden suite because the basement can be used by the family still, right? But
right,
the garden suite, if you build a garden suite like you talk about, we think about the market like, hey, owner occupy. I live in the main building, right?
hmm,
But I need more space. It doesn't matter for whatever reason, like you just mentioned that, hey, for the aging parents,
hmm.
for adult children,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You think about this. I live in downtown Toronto, right? So, renting a condo, say 2 bedroom, 2 washroom, around 600 square feet, probably 3,000, even with the today's condo market is not so good, but
But
still,
yeah,
the rent
yeah,
is at least minimum, 2,500, even to 3,200 in downtown Toronto, for example, right?
right,
But if you want to add this ADU in your backyard, or the parents they have the space and can add the ADU, that potentially can save quite some money for the family,
hmm,
or even save the down payment for the adult children to buy their new home, next home, right? Now they are living in the ADU, and some of our customers, what they do is that they build the ADU. The parents move to the ADU, to the garden suite, because
Right.
there are no stairs. They don't want
Right.
to go up and down, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
And their adult children actually moving to their main house.
Hmm.
At the same time, they are close to the family. They can take care of the family. They also have their own privacy, right? And I guess, for some grandparents, it's nice to see the grandchildren on a daily basis, but not 24/7. You
Right.
can
Absolutely. Yeah.
happy noises, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is more like owner occupy, right? Like you are the owner, you live there, you need the space. But at the same time, we also have some customer. What do? They build the ADU, they build the garden suite in the backyard. The owner moved to the backyard to the garden suite,
Ah,
okay, and they rent out the main building. That also generate even more cash flow for them.
right.
So this
Right.
is sort of like mixed use between the owner occupier and the investor own, right? And another way is really, the investor. We're talking about, not all the people, not all the real estate investor, they are familiar with multifamily kind of operation, not all the people have that kind of knowledge, right?
Hmm.
So many of them, they actually started by buying single family home, duplex, or, townhouses kind of thing, kind of concept, right?
Hmm.
So, like Emma mentioned earlier, and also that you also commented on that, is that 1% rule. What are you talking about? There's no way that we can meet 1% rule, right? But how do we be
Yeah.
creative and create that kind of cash flow? And Garden Suite is actually a great way for investors. I'm talking about the investor that doesn't live on that in that property, right? But how do you create that kind of positive cash flow? Because you're the investor, everything is about your ROI, right? So, how do we create that? Obviously, I can share more information on that later. But basically, that is what ADU is. Think about, garden suite, laneway suite, and also, finishing your basement, have the separate entrance. So technically, for ADU, you have your own independent unit, even though it's on the same lot. You have your own, entrance, you have your own kitchen, washroom, all those. And so, there's no dependency in terms of, oh, I need to go to the main house to use the washroom to do the kind of
Right.
concept.
Right. Yeah. Take a shower. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, I know that, there are a lot of misinformation. People talk about garden suite. They just say, oh, buy something 30,000 and just put in your backyard. That is like buying a shoebox and put inside, in your backyard and use the shoebox, right? But that shoebox is not part of your real estate. To make sure that the garden suite, the laneway suite is part of the real estate, to force appreciation. I think this is the term Emma was using. Force appreciation, right? And as a real estate investor, we all like our property value to go as high as possible.
That's
So
right.
this is actually a good way to make sure that, after adding the garden suite, laneway suite, the property value also goes up.
Excellent. Now, maybe for our listeners as well, explain the 1% rule and what happens when you put in a garden suite and what happens to that 1% rule that's unachievable, right?
I'm going to have Emma to answer this question
Okay.
from the data analytics perspective.
Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, you're the
Yeah.
numbers girl.
Uh, I probably not 100% correct. 1% is roughly you're purchasing a price, for example, 1 million, then your for the rent income will be like 1% of 1 million for that, right? And we can take an example of a real example of a customer. So she was building, our garden suite. Like, the cost is around 200, thousand, with a two-bedroom, in Toronto,
Hmm.
right? And after that is also depends on how big the size is, how you wanted to touch the finish. And for that part, overall, that she was, paying like 200,000 for a two-bedroom, one bathroom, the unit there. So which contains the kitchens, the laundry, the two-bedroom, one bath, everything self-contained, right? And separate units. And Once she finished that, I think she rented out like, 2,500 per month. So even, you don't know the details 1%, you already know it will, for 100% pass that rules,
Right.
right? Totally cash flow positive because if we use the calculator to do I can just do a calculator at this moment, thinking about, let's do that on the spot. If we have the 200,000, right? 200,000, I think we are being conservative for 4% interest rate. So monthly payment only $950. And interest only take like $100. If you rent it out for 2,500 per month, you definitely have more than 1,000.
Yep.
Right? Even a 15, yeah, it's more than 1,000. And also you don't have to pay any condo fees, right? It's just in your backyard, easy management on that piece. And also sometimes they will let the garden suite, they share the utility as well. So I think it's definitely a win for those, if they build that from a return perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's if you're living in the house. How about a scenario if for an investor, say, that's purchasing a house
Yeah.
and they want to add a garden suite and how that can make it come up to the 1% rule?
So
Oh, sorry,
yeah, yeah,
Emma. Go
Ethan,
ahead.
Ethan, go ahead. Ethan, go
I
ahead.
think that Jen, you asked a very interesting question, and this has been happening multiple times recently. Actually, a lot of investors before they go out to to buy the property, they actually invite us to do the site investigation with them. So they already know we are going to do the site investigation. If do you have a tree? Is it the how's the grading of your backyard, right? And what potentially is underground, and what's their ID, and how many units they want to put there. So for our current operation, that we actually do have three different models, starting from 450 square feet, 575, 580, and then the Model C is about 950 square feet. So for the smallest one is one bedroom, one bathroom. Okay. And then you have your independent, the kitchen, the dining room, or small dining room, and also your living room, right? For the 585 square feet, that basically two bedroom, two bathroom. You heard me right, two bathroom. Okay. You
Wow,
also
in
have
a
your
garden
own
suite.
washer, dryer, everything. You have your own kitchen, you have your own the dining area, and also the living room, right? That's two bedroom, two bathroom. And for the bigger one, 960 or 950 square feet, that basically three bedroom, two bathroom. But the living room space is bigger, everything, and also, but it's two stories.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
So by sharing this kind of information with the potential, for example, the investor or even the homeowner that who already live on that property, right? They can visualize, what I mean? They can visualize what's potential in their backyard, right? If you have a bigger backyard, then obviously, some people they want something bigger, right? But everything for investor in terms of the return had to make sense to them, right? And also, I don't know if Jen, you are aware of this or heard about this. A couple months back, maybe 3 months ago, 2 to 3 months ago, there's a new mortgage product came out that is designed for this purpose. Here in Canada, we know we have housing crisis. We want to
Yeah.
increase the supply of the housing inventory, right? And this new mortgage product just came out just a couple months ago. I believe that was the end of June. Okay.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that because I know they've always been challenged to
Yeah.
finance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
In the old, yeah.
sorry, is that with a particular lending institution or is that across the board?
Well, now it's only very limited, mortgage brokers that have access to this product.
Hmm.
But I just want to raise the awareness that
Yeah.
people need to understand that this is something possible today. It's
Yeah.
not like in the old time when we are talking about financing, we're talking about, oh, okay, let me refi my current property to take out the equity to pay for the garden suite. Once I finish the garden suite, I rent it out, and then I do another round of appraisal, do another round of refi to do all this. So basically, at least you will do two rounds of refi,
Hmm.
right, to make this happen, right?
Hmm.
But nowadays, actually, you just need one round of refi. So the appraisal is actually appraised as if. As if means assuming you already have the garden suite and
Oh my
based on the market
goodness.
rent rate, right?
Wow.
So
Nice.
your ARV is already predetermined before you even do anything, before you even, dig a hole
Yeah.
on the ground, right? You already know how much money or what is the after renovation value, the ARV, right? So for the investor or even for the homeowner who already live there, they know how much money they have to spend, or they know, what is the value going to be look like in the future after they finish this project, right? So I think that that is really something game changer, I would say,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So there's that eliminate any kind of guessing in this
Hmm.
whole process, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that that is something very interesting. And like I previously shared with you, recently we have a lot of investors come to us and want to talk about, how to add it. Well, number one, they want to understand what is a garden suite,
Yeah.
what it involves, right? And number two, they also want to understand the numbers. How much does it cost to build it, right? And the whole process, you think about this, just like a young adult that want to buy their first home, right? Get the pre-approval before you go shopping, right? The same thing. Before you build the garden suite, laneway suite, figure out the money first, so you understand, what your return will look like, right? And where you get the money and how much money that you can afford to spend to build what size of the garden suite to maximize your return, right? So, get the money first, and then, going through the design, or we already have some, existing models to have the basic conversation to start with, right? And getting the permit from the local municipality, right? And also, the construction and also the inspection. But think about this. I'm talking about average Canadian. I'm not talking about, professional real estate investor like yourself. Okay. I'm talking about average Canadian. Have no idea how to properly get a mortgage. They need a lot of support on that, right? And
Hmm.
this kind of mortgage that I was sharing earlier, this is something even more advanced, right? So we will help our customer. And I think that, whoever wants to do this need to understand this, right?
Hmm.
And then also how to work with the local municipality to communicate in terms of the permitting, right? If you have a big tree in your backyard, hey, now you need a permit, right? You
Right. To
know,
cut it
you
down.
understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also we need permit to build the garden suite to
Right.
make sure that it will become part of the real estate on the same lot. So the ARV will be there. Buying a $40,000, what people so-called mini home, I think
Hmm.
that is a misuse of the term, because that is really mini box that is big enough for somebody to sleep in there. But that doesn't mean that that kind of product will help you to force appreciation of your property, right? And then, the end is how do we work with the city in terms of the inspection? You need professional to do that for you. you know,
Yeah, yeah. You go partner with the professionals, right? Whether you're an investor or whether you're just a homeowner and you don't know how to do it and you want to see if you can move into a garden suite and move your kids into your house, right? Because
yeah.
yeah.
We have seen so many different kind of
Hmm.
scenarios, right, to maximize the return, right?
Hmm.
But if somebody doesn't want to rent out the garden suite, that is totally cool,
Yeah,
right? Use
yeah.
it for your own, for yourself, for your family, right?
Right,
If you
right.
can afford, then why not, right?
Yeah.
We're here to enjoy life, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I
Great.
I want to add that, Jen, for the first time home buyer, Garden Suite can definitely help them to boost their income for them to qualify the mortgage. Because I know people were always complaining, it's hard to buy a property, the income is not okay, we are not able to get a mortgage, right? even with today's market, I know the housing prices is go down a bit. Still, people are struggling to get qualified mortgage.
Hmm.
However, with the garden suite, if you're doing it properly, as Ethan was mentioned, there are now financing program they can, take into the equation of what's the ARV once you have the garden suite. So they will have your current housing purchasing value and also adding the after you build a garden suite into the value as a home mortgage.
Hmm.
And because we are doing properly with the permits, everything, it can, increase the equity of property. And also, they will consider the potential rental income to add into your current income, which in the past, if you don't have that in your income, you may not qualify for the mortgage. However, if we're adding the garden suite rental income into your current income, some people will qualify.
Or
It's
Nice.
an
qualify
income boost.
higher loan amount. For
Yeah. Yeah.
example, right?
Yes.
If
Yeah.
somebody is only qualified for $500,000, but now with the Golden Suite maybe 750 or 600 or 700, 750, right?
Ah,
Then in that
nice.
case, you can buy a bigger house, right? And in terms of the appreciation, it will go a bit faster, right?
Yeah.
So say 5 years down the road, if you want to sell it, then obviously you're going to have more cash in your pocket.
Yeah.
At the same time, during this 5 years period of time, you still cash flow positively.
Yeah. So I think 10 years ago, I go to the forum, people were saying, "Oh, okay, it's hard to buy a house. And one of the feasible strategy for them is house hacking.
Hmm.
However, house hacking is, you have already purchased the place, but you find it so, the bill is so high, the property bills, right? The other utilities, how to manage the property. You house hacking, you rent it out partial of the property, like one or two bedroom to others, right? In the meantime, you become the landlord, you don't have to pay the rent. However, nowadays, you cannot even house hacking when you qualify the mortgage. I feel like, garden suites that way is you do another way of, hacking of your house. I
Hmm.
feel like it's hacking of your land to help you to get your property, right? I think, it's really we have to be creative sometimes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all about, yeah, making deals work, right? It's pretty
Yeah.
hard to go on MLS and say, "Oh, there's a 1% rule, there's a 1% rule." Like you're not going to find them, right? You got to get creative to make deals work.
Yeah, that's how today's now we have a lot of, working partners or collaborations with realtors or mortgage partners because the people they wanted to buy the house, but they were not qualified. The mortgage broker cannot, just change the numbers. How we can, working together to, make this work. And realtors is also the same thing, right? They wanted to get deal done. However, if they do not get financing, no one is going to, that the client is not happy, everyone else happy. So that's why even before they started to purchase the places, they let us to, be part of the power team because we want to see, okay, whether the land or the local municipality, they are okay with, to build a garden suite. Is the land, wide enough? Is the landscape is good? Do we have, they also have regulations on the parking. After we build a garden suite, do we have enough parking, right? If they can invite us in the beginning before they purchase, we can save them thousands of money because what happens in real case is, previously a client invite us for their they wanted to purchase a property, but when we come there and we do the site investigation, but later on we see, okay, not enough space for parking. It's enough space for making the garden suite, but parking is not enough,
Hmm.
right? If they do not invite us in the beginning, they were thinking, okay, maybe it's okay, right? But after they do it, they started to submit the permits, they will get a feedback, okay, where did you find the parking space? That's how we save them money and they don't need to close the deal. They can move on to find another place without, wasting money on the deal, which may not be working.
Right. Very good. Very good. Now, do they give variances for parking with garden suites? If like um in my area, if you're on a transit route, then and I mean GTA is mostly on a transit route, right? So would they give you a variance about the parking?
Yeah, sometimes I would say they do,
Hmm.
but really depends on how we can become, more creative. But sometimes, if the space is so limited, then there's no way you can do it. Especially if the people they want to do within Toronto. You know how tight or how squeezed is that place is. So that's really have to put into mind. I feel
Right.
like you have to consider it's even like a mini project. You have to consider the financing. You have
Hmm.
to consider the permits, right? You can consider the construction. Just thinking about this, if not like sophisticated real estate like you, like the first home buyer, they will feel like a lot of headache. So
Hmm.
that's why we can come into places that in the past we have become a real estate investors. We have partnership with a lot of the mortgage brokers. As you were mentioning, there's some very creative financing plans for them, right? We can
Hmm.
thinking from the investors' hat and also thinking from the homeowners' face back because we see the big pictures. That's I think make the equations work.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's why I think that, having people or working with people like Emma and myself, and also Jane, because we're real estate investors. So we understand what the investors are looking for, right? So
Right.
if it works for investor, right, then, that is basically investor owned, right? Versus owner occupy, right? And then, some people, they might be using the space for a couple of years and later on they might sell the property or they might buy another property. This become a rental property,
Hmm.
right? So you already have it configured the way as a rental property,
Which makes it
right?
very valuable on the resale because you did all the headaches, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And also, because nowadays here, especially here in Canada, we're talking about affordability. We're talking about housing crisis. Supply and the demand. I think that is the most easiest thing that people can understand, right?
Mm.
Obviously, the supply is not enough and the demand is strong, even though with the less immigration nowadays, but still, every year we are still taking in 300,000, 400,000 people into the country,
Mm.
right? Every single year. And then just think that, okay, one third of them want to buy real estate down the road. That is another 100,000 units.
Hmm.
Well, across Canada, yes,
Mm.
but mainly focus on the big cities, right? So, I mean, this issue is not going to go away anytime soon, but I think that our government is working on this, and not only on the federal level, but also on the provincial level and also the local municipalities, right? And for example, in terms of the city of Windsor has changed a lot of things in terms of the zoning or, allowing people to build garden suite even without any kind of variance or rezoning, right?
Mm.
Same as other cities, City of Toronto, now City of Toronto even, publish their own model. They say that as long as you use this model to build your garden suite, you
Hmm.
don't even need they still require the permit and the approval, but they don't even need to look into it deeper because they already know what you're building. They are the one who designed it, for example, right?
Exactly.
If we look at on the other side of the GTA, if we are looking at the Whitby or Durham region, the same thing is happening there, right? So building garden suite nowadays is really a lot faster versus 3 years ago.
Right.
In terms of real estate market, BC is in terms of the pricing is a bit ahead of us. It's always more expensive in Vancouver, but a couple of years back, they already started to build language suite, or the unit above the garage, right? But now it's coming to Toronto, to Ontario, and I think that people should be open to the new ideas, creative financing. How do you force the property value to go up? And I
Hmm.
think that this is actually a good way, not only for professional investors. This applies to everyone. You know what I mean? Like even for people that who has no real estate experience whatsoever, they can understand what we are trying to do here. This is not something like, oh, super intelligent strategy. You know what I mean? Like multifamily, how to do this, how to do the evaluation. No, this is just single family home or duplex, for example, and how do you add value? How do you force the value to go up? It applies to pretty much everyone, right?
Hmm.
So that's why we feel that this is something the strategy, the information about the garden suite that want to share with as many people as possible.
Absolutely. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, um, in your experience, when they're calculating the ARV with the garden suite and you're going for refinancing, uh, is it approximately 80% loan to value that you're getting back on the cost of the build, or what kind of loan to values are you getting?
I think that it depends on, the property owner's income
Mhm.
plus the income from the garden suite,
Right.
right?
Okay.
And different lender, they might have a different policy in terms of how much they recognize from the income from the garden suite, right?
Right.
Because it's
Right.
important for rental unit, right?
Right.
And
Right.
also, depends on the person's personal income or the family overall income, right?
Mm.
Say if somebody, the property owner are the parents, they are aging parents, right? For
Right.
example, they can be retired, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
how do they get qualified? Then
Mhm.
try to be creative, right? Who is going to be living there, right? Your son or your daughter or blah blah blah. They can be, part of the mortgage, right? But
Right.
obviously, we are not mortgage brokers. But
Right.
what I'm trying to say, my message is be creative,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then be creative, and then create the kind of cash flow for yourself. If you're living there, fine, right? But if you are not living there in the garden suite or in the main building, main house,
Mm.
right? And potentially there are additional income can help you to qualify higher mortgage loan amount. And I think that I just echo what Emma just mentioned earlier, right? So
Right.
this is something that is very interesting. Everyone can understand, you don't need to spend hours, real estate training. You can understand this
Yeah.
because this is something that is very just, everyday housing, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
also understand, we need to borrow money from the bank because we don't have enough money to, pay in full, enough cash to pay in
Mhm.
full for the property, right? So how do we do that? And I think that, even young people can understand this. And that
Mm.
is the message that we want to deliver to your audiences is that don't be afraid of real estate because this is your daily life. You need a place to live, right? But buying a new property can be too expensive for you to go into the market today, right?
Right.
And even with the condo market in downtown Toronto, still more than 700,000, for example, right?
Hmm.
But building a garden suite, like Emma mentioned, two bedroom, two bathroom, close to 600 square feet for about 200,000, right? And that can also force the value of your existing property to go higher. So the value adding the garden suite is not only 200,000, it's actually way more than that.
Yeah. So Jen, I don't think we can find any places in GTA or even within Ontario for two bedroom, two bathroom only cost 200,000 for a condo or apartment,
Yeah.
That's,
And also
yeah.
another thing about garden suite, if you want to, if the property owner plan to rent it out, the rental income per month is actually higher compared to, renting out a condo. Assuming everything, equal, the
Hmm.
only difference will be one is garden suite, another one is a condo unit, right? Actually, garden suite is the rental income slightly higher because you have all the privacy. You have a garden right at your door.
Right.
Living in a
Right.
condo, you don't
Yeah.
get that, right? And like, previously we talked about is self-contained and you have everything that what you need, right? So a lot of people actually prefer to live in the garden suite instead of living in the
Yeah, and have
condo.
some green space, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, nobody above them, nobody. Yeah. Yeah. And I love you know me, I love creative financing. That's my thing. And I really perked up when you said about the parents who are retired and yes, qualifying for a mortgage. And I always tell people that are non-investors, if you're going to retire, make sure you get a HELOC on your house before you retire because you're not going to qualify, right? But yeah,
Right.
maybe if they're building a garden suite and their children are moving in, maybe the children could be the co-signers or, to, um,
Yeah.
yeah, plus the additional income to support a bigger mortgage. Yeah. Yeah, I love
Yeah, I think that nowadays when we look at real estate, we need to look at the big picture. not
Mm-hmm.
just about one deal. We need to look at the trend, right? And
Mm-hmm.
also, to be creative, to figure out what strategy works, right? And I think that this is a strategy that, pretty much everybody can understand very quickly. At the same time, there are already new mortgage product available that compared to, say 8 months ago, there was not something like that. So you had to do the refi twice, right?
Right.
But
Right.
now you only do the refi one time,
Beautiful.
right?
Yeah.
And for example, building a two-bedroom, two bathroom, just say is 200,000, for example, there will be drawdowns, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to pay the service provider, general contractor, whoever the builder may be, right? But at the same time, during this process, because your ARV is higher, say it doesn't matter, maybe based on your income, you are only qualified loan to value 75%, maybe your income is higher, maybe 80%, right? But during this period of time, because your garden suite is not completed yet, right? So there's technically no income from that garden suite because
Right.
it's not completed, right?
Right.
So actually, one more interesting about this program is that during that period of time, the construction period of time,
Mm-hmm.
is interest only. You don't even pay principal.
Beautiful. So it's essentially like a construction loan that flips over to
The combination of two. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I also wanted to add that in the beginning, when we enter into the garden suite industry, we thought it was like investor focus.
Hmm.
However, and now when they see the customer profile, we found it's 50-50. We have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of homeowners, they actually need more space. Like, we have some friends or, our customer or clients know, they have the aging parents, or
Hmm.
sometimes they were coming or immigrate from other countries. They have their aging coming to visit them to take care of their younger kids, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
in the past, the only choice is either they are living together, but people have different living style. The Asian people, they get up really early. No, no, sometimes the longer time they start is okay, I should buy a condo for them. Now
Mm-hmm.
with the garden suite, right? The Asian parent, they can live in the backyard, right?
Yeah.
And they can help them take care of the baby. And also the parents is the client itself, they can take care of their aging parents, right?
Hmm.
It's a win-win situations.
Hmm.
And for some people, they have some clients, they have adult children. So in the past, they have to buy another condo for them, right? Because those adult kids, they wanted some privacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now with the garden suite, they can just have their own door, or some of they have even the back laneway.
Hmm.
It's it's just look like exactly independent, suite.
Yeah.
So I feel like people becoming more and more creative on their own way of how to utilize garden suite. Some of them were using like office space because nowadays not all the people go to the office,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then when if they have a younger children or baby in house, they sometimes okay they want some space for their daily office work.
Hmm.
Now they create a garden suite, just decorate it into an office.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's also another choice for them.
Hmm.
So, but people sometimes, my clients will ask us, okay, oh, I found this is a really good product. I don't see a lot of them, in Toronto right now? The reason is because in the past, you are only allowed to legalize your basement. The
Right.
city was
Right.
not allowed for a regulation or permit to be
Right.
approved to build something in a garden. But
Hmm.
it's now within, 2 years ago, the city has, make a new, changes on the policies. Nowadays, this is, making true. In the past, even you want to, you cannot, right? So let's capture the trend. Ethan was laughing.
No, no, no.
And
I'm not
and
laughing. I'm smiling because
yes,
it makes a
and
lot of
solve the
sense.
problem too, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Listen, Jen, your slogan is make real estate fun, easy, and what? Profitable.
Profitable. That's right.
This is something simple, easy to understand,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
when you are making money, you feel it's fun, right? And
Hmm.
obviously it's profitable, right? We
Hmm.
do the math, right? For
Hmm.
something again, for even for a mortgage of 250,000, if we add some, Emma talking about, if we're talking about mortgage 200,000, that is not even $1,000, right? Then you think about where you are, depends on your local city. If you have a property here in downtown Toronto that you can allow to have a big backyard like that, right? That's additional money, right? But your mortgage is only $1,000, right? So, I mean, your viewers, your audiences must from different places. But, we probably won't be able to, support all of them if they are too far away from GTA, right? However, I think that this thought, I want to share this strategy with everyone, right? Because it's simple to understand, it's easy, it's fun, and it's profitable,
Hmm.
based on your own local market, right? If it has something like 600 square feet, two bedroom, two bathroom, in the backyard, privacy, everything, how much is it going to rent it for? And then minus $1,000 mortgage payment. How much money are you making, putting inside your pocket every month? It's positive cash flow, right?
Absolutely. Love it.
You can live in the main house still,
Yeah.
right? If
Yeah.
you are the full, professional investor, the property is only, that you rent out to your tenant. We have tons of customers that actually they are investors. Even with their existing investment, they are adding the garden suite. They are adding the second floor, and we do all those for them, right?
Right.
We finish the basement, we add the second floor, we finish the garden suite for them. So they boost out the cash flow, the monthly income, right?
Right.
So I think that, it's not only for investors, but also for property owner who live in that property. It makes a lot of sense because we have a lot of customers, like I previously shared with you. They
Hmm.
used to live in the main house. Now they live in the garden suite because they like it.
Yeah.
Or you can still live in the main house, but rent out the garden suite. The cash flow is there. It depends on how do you want to implement, right? Implement the strategy. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
I love it. I love it. And thank you for sharing about these new mortgage products because that was always the challenge everybody always had, right? About
Yeah.
adding these garden suites, like, how do you come up with the money? And then when you go to refinance and you want to pull that money back out and the bank isn't recognizing them. And so yeah, that's great.
One thing I do want to share is that, if your audience, your viewer is considering building a garden suite and they want to find a local vendor now who can
Mhm.
do this for them, right?
Mhm.
If they are in GTA, obviously reach out to me and Emma.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
If they are not in GTA, or we can go outside of GTA, say 1 to 2 hours kind of distance. That
Mhm.
obviously we can talk about this. But if say for example they are in London,
Mhm.
or they are in Windsor, I'm sorry. If they're in Windsor, obviously we cannot go to Windsor to build that yet. However, people they should consider, what kind of people they should be considering working with. They should consider working with people like ourselves, like we are investors. We understand mortgage, you know what I mean? And especially people like Emma and myself, we are bankers. So we understand mortgage, how mortgage work, right?
Right.
And like we said that you need to understand the mortgage, figure out how much money you can spend on this, what is your return, and especially with the mortgage program we just shared, even though
Right.
we are the mortgage brokers, but the concept is there, right? Figure out the money situation and then everything else that you want your vendor to be able to support you on getting the permit properly,
Right.
right?
Right.
Without the permit, there's no inspection. Without all those things, that is not part of your real estate. It's a shoebox that you put inside your backyard, right? So, so I think that they need that kind of support, and that's
Expertise.
what
Yeah. Hmm.
expertise and the
Hmm.
support, right? So
Hmm.
that's why when we are sharing this information with not only real estate investors, it can be the first time home buyers, right? So I think is something that they really need to find the people who understand things and
Hmm.
they can connect all the dots, right?
Right.
Because we know there are vendors or GC, general contractors, or marketing companies out there. They
Right.
claim that they understand financing, but they don't.
Hmm.
Okay. or they claim that, okay, the price is this amount, but they gradually add more and more money
Right.
into, and if you do not give them the money, if pricing is not guaranteed, then they stop working.
Yeah.
So what do? You
Yeah.
have a half finished, you have the foundation, you have the framing, but it's not completed. What do you do with that?
Yeah.
Right? So,
Can't rent
you want to, you
it.
want somebody that, who understand how this works and can give you to a certain degree a guarantee of the pricing. It's not going to change dramatically. We do, in project management, we were talking about me have the experience delivering enterprise scale project. We're talking about time, scope, and budget,
Hmm.
right? Your time is important when you can, actually have received the occupancy and move in there, or your tenant had to move in there because that is affecting your pocket, the cash flow,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Is the budget going to be on budget? Is the project is going to be on budget? Yes or no, right? Or are they? We hear a lot of horror stories, okay? So that's why I want to, share this information with the audience, right? In terms of your budget and also the people who you are working with. Is it the pricing? Is it guaranteed? Is it fixed? Or they can increase the price anytime, right?
Yeah.
And the scope, right? What is in scope and
Yeah.
what is out of scope, right? And
Yeah.
a lot of, there's marketing companies, they just say whatever they say, but actually that is not true. When you come to the general contractor, they have a different understanding of the project. And we don't want that to happen because this is supposed to be fun, easy, and
Easy and
profitable,
profitable. Yeah, that's right.
right? But now it's no fun anymore because you have to deal with all this BS, right?
Hmm.
So, working with professional, working with somebody who truly understand, what you're going through, what you are doing, right? If you're an investor, obviously, three of us, we are all investors, right? So we'll understand how the number works, right? And how to implement the strategy, right? But they are sometimes they are not investors. It can be homeowners. They just want to live there. But
Hmm.
still, you want this to be fun and easy for you.
Right. And they wouldn't have any idea how to go about it, right? And that's
Yeah,
where the expert comes in.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Hmm.
If they're outside the GTA, there's certain things that they need to understand, what is included, what is not included, what
Hmm.
kind of finished product are we talking about,
Right.
and, because we're all investors. So with the investor head on,
Hmm.
the product we design actually is perfect for, for rental units. And
Yeah.
even based on those, the same technology, we can stack them out to become multifamily, right? So that is another way to look at. So garden suite or ADU is no longer just a garden suite anymore,
Right.
right? It's
Right.
actually a way of thinking how to move things forward
Right.
because everybody wants to, cheaper or not cheaper. It should be less expensive, right?
Right.
Or, reasonable price,
Right.
right? And also with a faster delivery timeline, right? So with this, I think with this, the Garden Suite as a beginning, I think that there are a lot of things that we can develop more and more.
Hmm. Love
Yeah.
it. I love it. I love it.
Thank
I
you.
I think we should probably have you guys back on in the future and talk about it more because there's just so much. We didn't even get into your prefabs and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
we're
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I told you I could kill an hour. Right? Pretty easy, but yeah, our time's running out. Thank you both so much. That was amazing what you shared with the listeners tonight. And yeah, for
Mhm.
me too. I didn't realize that you hear some buzzes about garden suites and ADUs and all this stuff. And um, yeah, anyways, that's amazing. Love it. Love it. Love
We are starting from, Garden Suite or ADU, but, this is not the limit, right? We're
it.
applying the similar idea more and more and more, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So at least the way of doing it. And I think that, you know, I guess this is another Jen slogan. Day one or one day.
Yeah, Yes, yes,
right?
yeah,
You want to
yeah,
do this one day when you are ready,
yeah,
or this is your day one,
yeah,
reach out to
exactly.
us. You just say in the future, you are not our customer. We are happy to share our information, our knowledge with you, right?
Nice,
And
nice.
like you talk about, maybe to invite us for another episode, right? We are more
Mm,
than happy to do that. We have a lot more to talk about because we are only talking about garden suite here in Canada. We haven't talked about everything else in other country yet,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So that is something that, maybe there are more collaboration opportunity, working on project outside of Canada, and we are happy with that as well. So we
right.
are open, for any kind of feedback or anyone, who see this video interested to understand more and reach out to us. We're happy to
Hmm.
do that.
And what's the best way for people to reach you?
Maybe by email or my phone number. Actually, my phone number is on the screen.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Good. Messenger even?
Yeah,
Emma?
yeah, yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Like
Ethan, Facebook
WhatsApp,
Messenger?
Facebook Messenger. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm assuming that's your WhatsApp number as well.
yeah,
Yeah, same thing. Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you. Like I said, we killed an hour just like that. And, always great to chat with you. I think I'll probably see you next weekend at the conference.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Thank you,
And
Jen. I'll
yeah,
see you at the stand.
yes, yes. Yeah, I'd love to discuss this more and see what kind of collaborations and opportunities
Yeah,
are there.
collaboration. And think about, maybe using the similar idea to build multifamily,
Hmm.
right? Smaller one, you say 10 units or whatever, stack them up, all kind of things that we can do. Garden suite, like people think about garden suite, just, adding a tiny mini home at the backyard is
Hmm.
way more than that.
Yes.
We are being very creative, think about many different ideas, right? What
Yeah.
will meet the Canadian market, right? Not only garden suite, but also multifamily,
Right.
right? So,
Right.
so on that, land development, everything that, people want to reach out, we're more than happy to chat about,
Awesome.
what we know and share our knowledge.
Yes. Awesome. And another thing, when you were talking about the immigration too, they say new immigrants will rent for approximately 2 years before they purchase. So that's another thing to, keep in mind that there's always an influx of new renters.
Yeah, I mean, Canada, even though we are taking in less new immigrants nowadays, but
Hmm.
still, we're talking about 350 to 400,000 people,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Just say,
The
okay,
other
it takes,
Yeah, the other statistic, and I have to look it up, of the generation right now, uh, there's some crazy amount, like 70% of them aren't even interested in home ownership. They just want to rent because they just want to go and travel and go to yoga class. They don't want the responsibilities. They don't want, to invest their
in
money
that
in.
case, assuming you are the landlord,
Yeah.
hey, you have a lot more tenants.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So there you go. Anyways, again, thank you so much, Ethan, Emma. Great presentation tonight. Yeah, thank you for sharing with the listeners. That was awesome.
Thank you, Jane. And
Lost
if you're
Emma there for a
interested to
second.
talk
She's
more
coming
about
back
this,
in.
more than happy
Oh,
to jump on another call with you.
yes, yes. I'd love you guys to schedule back in. Um, I think we
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks,
there she
Jen.
is. Yeah, we lost you there for a sec. I'm like, welcome back. We're just signing off, and I'm saying thank you so much for joining tonight and great information that you've shared with the listeners. So I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to have you both back on again. Talk.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jen, for having us. Bye.
Yes.
Have a great
Okay.
evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. And to the listeners, we'll see you all on the next video.